So we have the why. I gave you a little bit of the how, the minimum that we're kind of looking for. And I'm probably saying minimum too much. I mean, I understand that that's a legitimate commitment. I want to start with that, but just kind of the track and the groundwork to start running on. So that how is how we look to accomplish it. And I just want to close with a couple pointers, a couple thoughts, a couple tips as far as what we're looking for, even within those three categories. So the three main principles. The first principle we're talking about, the principle of selection. So, okay, Nathan, like I'm going to choose a student one-on-one, and how do I choose? Who do I choose? Well, a couple of things. One, I think there is a good avenue for those who are adult leaders and small group leaders on Sunday morning. Pick one of your small group kids, one of the kids in your class. Now, who that is, man, that's going to be on God leading your heart. But I would say be willing to pick a roughneck, as we saw in the book. Be willing to pick someone who's just maybe a little bit intense, maybe someone who's a little bit more out there. Those are the type of guys that Jesus picked. But, I want the Holy Spirit to lead you. But I think that would be awesome if our small group leaders are picking one of the students in their small group. That's a great model for the rest of that group. And then also as we're thinking about translating that to our students on the Wednesday night pods. Maybe on the Wednesday night, you're a Wednesday night leader, and you're saying, who do I use? Each Wednesday night leader is going to be assigned the student leaders that they're going to provide leadership for within those pods. Maybe grab one of those. You'll probably get assigned 2 to 4 students, depending on how many pods you have. Probably one of those is a good one to go in deeper with. So we see this element, the principle of selection. That's a pretty big and certainly the first step. I think those would be 2 awesome things that we could see, so we could kind of start to see that becoming the culture that we are, just discipling, and it makes sense and it's consistent. So the second principle we look at, this idea of association, how does it play out for what we're talking about here? So doing life together, we say meet once a month, connect once a week, communication-wise, or more, certainly. And when you're here with them, talk to them, hit them up. So most of you guys do this, right? You're already adult leaders. You're already passionate about students. You're already in student ministry. But during the week, when you are texting, communicating, calling, emailing, whatever the case may be, it's a simple 2-second text that I don't always do. Hey, how are you doing? Thinking about you. Hey, I know we talked about this past month. Praying for that. How are you doing? Hey, how's school? We'll talk a little bit about some of the breakdowns of our monthly meeting because that's more the teaching portion. But following up off of that, how was your game? Tell me how this went. Just simple things. Hey, looking forward to seeing you Wednesday. Looking forward to seeing you Sunday. How are things going with your parents? Just those elements, that's just that active discipleship, association. You are associating your life with their life. And for students who use texting and these forms of communication as their almost main form of communication, for us it seems a little odd, awkward, foreign to an extent, though we use it. But if we're thinking about discipling, it's like, well, I don't know about texting. That doesn't quite seem to be the deal. That's the student's language. And so it is okay for us to use that to get to them, because that's the beauty of technology. We can stay consistent with them and disciple them, even if we're only meeting them one time a month outside of normal parameters. And then also when you're connecting with them, same type of thing. When you're here and they're here, make sure you grab them, you hug on them, you slap their back, shake their hand. You mess with them, you joke with them, you put your arm around them, you reach out to them. And it may be similar, hey, how'd this week go? What happened this past time? It may be just hanging out, just talking. There's no timeline for that. Oftentimes, it can be just that simple question, that's just simple connect. And maybe you don't have a chance the rest of the night to actually talk. That's okay. It's for a student, it means I'm meeting with them once a month. They're texting me every week. And then when they're here, they seek me out. Man, that shows that you are investing your life into them. That's a big deal. And that's how we kind of go against what the culture is saying and against the stats that we were looking at a little bit earlier. So those are real basic, those 2 kind of steps. You do this. You guys already do this already, but we're kind of saying, hey, this is a commitment level. Real quick tip, for those who are here, usually before or after are the best times to connect. So before Wednesday night starts, before Sunday morning starts, grab them real quick, grab them off to the side, or make yourself a friend with their friends group. It's also a big thing. Kids kind of work, as you know, in this group mentality thing, which can be frustrating. But be a part of that. Associate yourself with that friend group. That means you're even more so investing in who they are and the interests they have. But usually before or after, kind of 15 minutes before, 15 minutes after, is that real good window where it's just hangout time and a really good opportunity just to connect with them real quick. But the other principle we talked about is the principle of instruction. And Sunday morning, you guys do that. You teach. That's what we were saying, where we want you to actually teach. You guys do that. Wednesday night, more of a leadership role for those Wednesday leaders. But what we're looking for in the avenue of instruction is when we come together for a once-a-month meeting, whether that be 30 minutes or an hour, that there is some sort of active teaching going on. In addition to Sundays, in addition to Wednesdays, in addition to pause, in addition to Sunday night Bible study, all those different things, there is something unique that you and that student are doing together. Because that speaks to their uniqueness. That speaks to, I'm doing this with just you. That speaks to the value that you place on their life and their growth and their development. So for these 30-minute hour meetings, there's a couple real easy things to do. Okay, here's just some basic things. Ask 3 questions. 3 questions. How's school? How's home? How's the family? Wait, I just said that. What was the other one? I got it written down. Oh, nonetheless. How's school? How's home? And any extracurriculars, that's what it is. Any extracurriculars you got going on. So every student has some sort of interest item that they're into, okay? So it's school, everyone's got that in common. Family, everybody's got that in common. But what else are you into? If it's video games is not an extracurricular that we think of. Ask them how they're doing. Ask them what level they're on. They're into that. Have you modified the game? What have you done next? If it's sports, if it's music, whatever. Those are just 3 elements to get the conversation going. Once you guys have that relationship, it'll kind of take care of itself pretty organically. But as far as the teaching portion within that 30 to hour minute that you have, do it somewhere outside of church. We ask you to not do it on the church property. I think there's a real buy-in value that we're teaching them that, man, I will alter my schedule. I will meet you somewhere. I'll meet you where you're comfortable. I'll meet you at your house, at Starbucks, wherever. So do that. And then also have an item that you're teaching, working through. It could be a book you guys are reading together. It could be a book of the Bible that you're reading together. It could be a right now training on this very website. There's all the different Bible studies, visual Bible studies and stuff, video-based. It could be anything. If you need a resource, come to us. There's lots of thin books, devotional books. There's all sorts of things that we would love to resource you with so that you and also the student are doing that together. Again, it's an investing that, man, I'm not just teaching you, I'm doing this with you. We're doing this together. You're telling that student, that high schooler, that middle schooler, man, we're doing the same thing. I might be an adult. It might be a lot further on down the road, but we're at the same place. Not that we're at the same place spiritually, but we're doing this together, and that's a big deal. So those are just a couple quick tips as I see it. So those 3 elements that we see, the 3 principles, selection, association, instruction, play out in the 3 things that we're looking for. Once a month meeting, communication every week, text, email, whatever the case. Social media, honestly, is how a lot of them do it, which might be an awesome one. Publicly showing that, hey, we're hitting you up and we're liking you and we're commenting to you. Like, that's a big deal. And then also, whenever you're here, just connect with that student. Just connect with them. And so the goal is what we're looking for is if we can get these things rolling by April 1st, that would be awesome. We're asking that maybe these are this training is completed Wednesday, March 28th. That's the last Wednesday in March. So that April 2nd is a Sunday. So technically that's the first week of April. But that April 1st, we've identified your student, you've reached out, you've communicated to them, and you guys have both agreed to, hey, let's do this thing. So that April is our first month to try to hit these things. And so my job is to hold us all accountable. You guys hold me accountable. I'm doing the same thing. I need a kid. I need a guy. I need 1 or 2 that I'm discipling in this manner. Michelle, same thing. So we'll try to hold you guys accountable as you guys hold us accountable. But we're really looking for April to start that so that in the next 5 to 6 months, when we ask our student leaders, our pod leaders on Wednesday nights, now you go and disciple someone one-on-one. They know what that looks like. And so the goal, this would just be amazing. By the time we hit January 1st, 2018, this would be amazing that we have active pods on Wednesday night led by students who are discipling students, not just in that pod, that small group of 5 to 7, that each co-leader is discipling one of those students one-on-one, and that all of our adult leaders are discipling a student. Because we have in our connection, we have about 15 adults. So if all 15 adults are discipling someone, man, that's 15 students. That's a big deal. That's awesome. If they're maybe taking on 2, that's 30 students right there. That's a giant chunk of our group. But then those students go and they disciple 1. Well, on Wednesday night, we're going to have, looks like, probably 10 pods with 2 leaders each. So that's 20 student leaders. So if 20 of those student leaders are each discipling 1 student, that's 40 students. So 40 students are being discipled. And then 15 to 30 students are being discipled by adults. I kind of jacked that up. It didn't sound very clear. Okay, but nonetheless, 15 adults discipling 1 person, that's 15 students. The 20 student leaders on Wednesday night discipling only 1 student, okay, that's 20 students. That right there is 35, but I think we can do more. If we're saying we're discipling one-on-one 35 students by 2018, that's huge. That is a monumental increase compared to the 0 that I've been doing. So that when we hit January 2018, that there is this culture of discipleship, that you guys know your student, that you love that kid, which you already do, that you know their name, you know their interests, you are helping move them along to a closer relationship to God, and then that student would then go and do that themselves. That's the vision. That's what we're looking to do. That's how we will accomplish the things that we see in God's word. So we're excited for this. If you have any questions, hit me up, text me, call me, email me, whatever the case may be. And we are just so thankful for you completing this. Here's the thing we ask. Underneath, there's a couple spots for names. I would love for you to put names down. Hopefully you've been praying through it. Put names down, 1, 2, maybe a third, but just because we'll be looking at who's with who or whatever. But put down at least 2 students' name that these are students that the Lord has put on my heart that I'm thinking about actively engaging in this form of fashion. So submit it. We'll be seeing along the way how things are going. And we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. You are the best of us. And you are doing the work of the ministry in so many deeper ways than I'm ever able to. So we thank you guys. We love you guys. We'll see you guys.